Hey everybody, my name is Lowell and welcome to the channel. So we have a reaction video for us today. This is going to be why US houses are built from wood and Europe uses brick. So I'm assuming it's just ease of materials, availability. Queensland here, we build a lot of houses out of wood. So we're kind of in the same boat, I guess. But let's jump in and let's have a look at this one.
In Germany, 90% of new houses are built with brick or concrete blocks.
Okay.
In Italy, almost every residential structure is masonry. In Spain, the same. In the Netherlands, brick. In the United Kingdom, brick. Across the entire European continent, the standard residential wall is built from a material that lasts for hundreds of years.
Like I said, I guess it's just availability of material wherever you're building.
And does not burn. In the United States, 90% of new single-family homes are framed with wood, 2x4s, plywood, oriented strand board, the same material a beaver uses, the same material that catches fire in seconds, the same material that termites consider a buffet. Two wealthy regions. Same century, same access to every building technology on the planet. Two completely opposite ways of constructing the most expensive purchase of an average person's life. Why? The standard answer is that America has more trees. And that is true. The country has one of the largest commercial forestry industries in the world.
Okay.
Lumber is cheap, abundant, and renewable. But that explanation only describes how the system started.
Yes.
It does not explain why it stayed. Europe also had vast forests once. They cut them down centuries ago and switched to brick.
I'm pretty sure Russia has massive forests, and I think they still build in brick as well. So it might just be ease of use of material too. So, like I said, we build a lot of houses here, especially in Queensland, out of wood. Obviously, termites are a big thing for us as well to take care of. Okay.
They never went back. America had the same option in 2000 and chose wood. In 2026, even with mass timber technology and engineered concrete and prefab steel framing all available at competitive prices, 90% of new American homes are still wood. The real reason is not the trees. It is something economists call path dependence. Once a country sets up a building industry around one material with its workers, its codes, its supply chains, and its bank financing, switching becomes nearly impossible.
I mean, I guess you could understand that because if you don't use wood and then all those industries are going to fall, like, when they introduced the motor car and everything to do with horses, fell away, farriers and all that kind of stuff. Only took a generation to get rid of that industry. So you can understand that, the cost of switching, but you don't understand why. I mean, 90% is built in wood. So there is a little bit of other materials being used. I guess it's maybe just going to take time, industry changes and whatever else. I thought timber was pretty expensive in the US. Has it changed? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section.
Supply chains and its bank financing. Switching becomes nearly impossible, even when better materials exist. America locked in wood 300 years ago. Europe locked in brick 1,000 years ago. Both systems still run on the inertia of decisions nobody alive ever made. And here's the data that proves the difference is not just aesthetic. A wood-framed American house has an average lifespan of around 50 to 70 years before major reconstruction. A brick or concrete European house regularly stands for 200 to 500 years with maintenance. Some homes in Spain and Italy are still occupied after 700 years. The United States demolishes and rebuilds the same housing stock multiple times in the time Europe holds onto a single structure. Two systems. Two completely different relationships with the idea of home. So how did the split happen? Walk back to the 17th century. When European settlers arrived in North America, they encountered a forested continent on a scale they had never seen. Massive old-growth pine, oak, maple, cedar. The eastern half of the continent was essentially a wall of timber stretching from Maine to Florida. Estimates suggest the eastern woodlands covered roughly 1 billion acres before colonization. Cutting trees was not just permitted, it was strategic. Forests had to be cleared for farmland anyway. Wood was the cheapest, fastest, most abundant building material a colonist could possibly use. The first wave of American homes was not a design philosophy. It was the path of least resistance through a landscape buried in lumber. Meanwhile, Europe had already been deforested. The continent had been clearing its forests for ships, firewood, and construction since the Middle Ages. By the 1500s, mature timber was a luxury good. Most European countries had no choice but to build with stone, brick, and lime mortar. The materials were heavier, slower to assemble, and required skilled labor. But there was no alternative. Europe ran out of wood before it ran out of demand for housing. That single resource gap, 3 centuries ago, sent the two continents down completely different industrial paths. In Europe, brickmaking became a regional craft. Every village had a kiln, every city had masons. Construction techniques were refined for hundreds of years around the assumption that walls were heavy, permanent, and assembled by hand. Building codes evolved around masonry. Bank loans were structured for properties that would last a century. Insurance assumed buildings would not catch fire. Skilled labor specialized in stone. In America, the opposite happened. The country invented balloon framing in the 1830s, a system that allowed a house to be assembled by a small team using nothing but standardized lumber, nails, and a hammer. No skilled masons were required, no expensive kilns were needed, just sawmills and railroads. Within 50 years, balloon framing and its successor, platform framing, became the universal American method. The country could build a house in weeks, not months. That speed is not a footnote. It is the entire story.
But I guess that also, if you're only taking 6 weeks to whatever it is, weeks to build a house, instead of you're building, years to build a house, when you have that many people in America, obviously, you need that speed. You need that convenience of actually being able to build a house, to house everybody. Okay.
Months. That speed is not a footnote. It is the entire story. Wood framing makes American housing cheap. A standard wood-framed home costs 10 to 60% less than an equivalent brick or concrete home. Construction is faster, and labor requirements are lower. The materials are easy to ship by rail or truck. Modifications are simple. Drywall comes off, new electrical goes in, drywall goes back on. An American contractor can throw up the bones of a house in 7 days with a crew that does not need years of specialized training. Masonry requires a different industry entirely. Bricklayers must apprentice for years. Mortar must cure. Walls must be plumb. Plumbing and electrical have to be planned before the walls go up because retrofitting through brick is brutal. The whole process takes months, costs more, and depends on a labor force that simply does not exist in most of the United States. There are not enough trained masons in America to build the country at scale with brick, even if every developer wanted to. This is the path dependence trap. Wood is cheaper because the entire American construction industry is optimized for wood. Masonry is more expensive because nobody is set up to do it, and nobody gets set up to do it because masonry is more expensive. The cycle runs.
Wait. So even though you're inside, you're framed, my house here is framed from wood, but probably about 2/3 of it, it's actually got brick on the outside. Do you not have brick on the outside of your actual houses in America? No, because you had the siding, don't you? Because I know a lot of that siding is made to look like wood these days, so it's not actual wood, some of it. Okay. I never thought of that. Because even though could have obviously been talking about the frames and stuff, we use a lot of wood, but we still have brick on the outside. Oh, okay.
Do it, and nobody gets set up to do it because masonry is more expensive. The cycle runs forward forever. Then there are the codes. American building codes are written around wood. Inspectors are trained on wood. Banks underwrite mortgages assuming wood. Insurance companies have actuarial tables built on the lifespan of a wood-framed home. Even when a developer wants to build with concrete, the financing, the inspection process, and the supply chain all push back toward the standard format. The system does not have to forbid masonry. It just makes it inconvenient enough that almost nobody bothers. Europe is the inverse. Try building a wood-framed single-family home in central Berlin. Building codes will block parts of it. Insurance will be more expensive. Resale value will collapse because buyers expect masonry. banks will hesitate to finance it. The European market has been shaped around brick for so long that wood is treated as the exception, not the rule. Now look at what the American choice costs. In 2023, the National Fire Protection Association recorded over 380,000 residential structure fires in the United States. Roughly 2,800 civilians died. Thousands more were.
Oh my God, that's a lot of fires. Yikes.
Fires in the United States. Roughly 2,800 civilians died. Thousands more were injured. Property damage exceeded $11 billion in a single year. The fire death rate in the United States is roughly 3 times higher than in most Western European countries. Germany is around 5.3 deaths per million. The United States is above 12. The country with 90% wood-framed homes burns at double the rate of countries with 90% masonry-framed homes. Hurricanes hit even harder. When a Category 4 storm passes through Florida, wood-framed homes shatter. Brick and block homes built to Florida code regularly survive intact. After Hurricane Andrew in 1992, Florida updated its codes and pushed concrete block construction in coastal zones.
I could never understand. I mean, obviously, it comes down to what they built before, but having a wood house in Tornado Alley, that's just, I don't know. I guess it's quicker to build it back, but I guess if you built in brick, I don't know. You'd have to build it pretty bloody strong, you know, to survive some of those tornadoes. Those tornadoes are scary as anything. Crazy.
Andrew in 1992, Florida updated its codes and pushed concrete block construction in coastal zones. The houses built to that standard outlasted the storms that destroyed everything around them. The technology works.
Look at that.
It just is not used nationally. Termites cost American homeowners around $5 billion per year in damage and treatment.
Bloody termites.
European homeowners do not have this expense at scale because termites cannot eat brick. Wildfires in California and the Pacific Northwest level entire neighborhoods of wooden homes in a single afternoon. A masonry house in the same neighborhood often stands. And there is one more cost that nobody puts on the bill. A wood-framed home is designed to be replaced. Its lifespan is measured in decades, not centuries. When the structure deteriorates, the house is torn down and rebuilt. That cycle creates work for builders, suppliers, lenders, and insurance companies. It is good for GDP. It is terrible for wealth accumulation. A European family that bought a brick home in 1940 often passes that same home to grandchildren. An American family that bought a wood-framed home in 1970 is likely watching it crumble, while their property value depends on the land beneath it. The structure is a depreciating asset. The dirt is the investment. There is movement at the edges. Concrete homes are growing in Florida hurricane zones. Insurance-driven masonry is appearing in wildfire areas. Mass timber and cross-laminated panels are starting to show up in commercial buildings. But residential construction at the national scale has not moved. Wood still wins because the entire industrial system is built to make wood win. 300 years ago, an American settler chose wood because the trees were free and the bricks were across an ocean. 300 years later, the trees are still free, the labor is still cheap, and an entire industry is still optimized for the same decision. Europe ran out of wood and accidentally built houses that last for centuries. America never ran out of wood and built houses that need replacing within a single human lifetime. So the question is this: will the United States ever break the wood cycle? Or is the country permanently locked into building disposable homes because that is what the system was built to do? Let me know what you think.
Interesting video. A little doom and gloom, I must admit. I mean, if you look after a home, it's going to last you longer than 70 years. Let's be real, you know. So, you see some of those cabins in America. Some of them are 300 years old too. So, it's not all doom and gloom, that's for sure. But you can understand that wood cycle. You know, something that's always been there. You know, when the first settlers came over, they built with wood. They've just kind of continued that. Everything is set up to continue that. But you can understand that, you know, changing slightly, you know, Tornado Alley and down the coast when they get the hurricanes and stuff. You can understand the changing there, but it's going to take a while for, to change that whole system. America is a big place and it's a big, big industry to change. So, but I don't know. A little kind of a backhanded slap in the face for Americans, with the building of wood. I don't think it's that bad. Like I said here, Queensland, especially, we build a lot of houses in wood. We do have wood frames. We have brick on the outside. But I've never heard of anybody in Queensland having to replace their house after 70 years. That's ridiculous. Come on. That's ridiculous. I mean, you can go down the road here about half an hour away, and you can actually buy a wood house from a lot and ship it to your property, and they're 100 years old. They've lasted, so people in the old days knew how to build stuff, that's for sure. So, but a little doom and gloom. Interesting, how it's actually set up in America with the wood and everything. Fairly similar here, but Europe is a different beast. Obviously, no trees. They're going to use wood. I mean, they're going to use brick, I should say, and that's just the way they build. So most of their houses over there are smaller. They're all connected, majority of them. And if you build one in brick, of course you're going to build the rest in brick as well too. So it's just the way it is. So, but interesting video, I must say. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on if you are American. Let me know how your house is holding up if it's built out of wood. I've never heard of anybody replacing a whole house after 70 years because it's fallen down. If you don't look after it, yeah, sure, maybe it might, disrepair and whatever else. But if you look after a house, it's going to look after you. You're going to be able to pass it on, surely. So, but let me know what you thought of that one, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today. Make sure you stay safe, and I will definitely see you in the next reaction video. Oh, you're still here? You want more content? Why don't you check out my Patreon down here? You'll get plenty more content and some exclusive videos over there too. If not, why not check out this one over here?